Space, the final woke frontier. These are the voyages of everyday Eric. His painful 3-season mission to avoid strange new worlds, seek out decent Star Trek, and to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Star Trek is back, Picard Season 3, and it felt like Star Trek. It felt like The Next Generation, one of the movies. And that's a good thing at this point. It felt like a little more like classic Star Trek. And I saw two things today, all right? One of them had this, well, not this guy, but they tried to do this guy and they ruined this guy. That was bad. I just got home from that. The other thing I saw today was Picard, and I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and I'm very excited to see the next episode. Okay, let's get into things. So this is a spoiler review. So if you don't want to know what happens, come back, go watch Picard, Season 3, Episode 1, and come on back. So I've reviewed all of Picard. I've been through a lot of pain and a lot of torture, but let's recap what's happened so far. In Season 1, Picard, in the end, died and is brought back as a robot. So Picard's a robot. In Season 2, a lot happened in Season 2. That is very forgettable. But basically, Q comes back to help Picard get over his mother's suicide. And the Borg join the Federation. There you go. You're all caught up. You're all caught up. So, in Season 3 in Episode 1, things start off in space with two ships. And it's very mysterious what's going on. But we soon learn that on one of the ships is Beverly Crusher, the doctor from the Next Generation show. And I've always had a crush on Beverly Crusher. In fact, I've had a crush on most of the women in this show. Not Raffi, but Raffi's better. I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, I mean, you know, I've had a crush on Beverly Crusher for a long time, so it's great to see her back. Anyway, this other ship's got some aliens on it, and I didn't recognize what race they are, but they board the ship, and there's like a gunfight. And I think we see there that Crusher is protecting, or there's another guy aboard, but we don't get a good look at him. And Beverly Crusher fights off in a very smart way these aliens, because Beverly Crusher is a strong female. She's been around for a few decades as such. I mean, she's tough, but she's vulnerable. She's smart. She handles herself. I mean, come on. All right? So she fights them off, vaporizes a few of them, but more reinforcement ships come. And so she sends a distress call over some subspace transmission to Admiral Jean-Luc Picard. And then this new music comes into play. They got rid of the old music, which was terrible, and they got rid of the old credits, which were awful, the intro credits, and they have the new music is basically the Next Generation music. And I started to get teary-eyed. I'm like, oh my God, my Star Trek is back. What's going on here? And then we see Part 1, The Next Generation. Oh, huge improvement. All right, next up, things go back to good old Chateau Picard. We knew they'd go there. All right. And Jean-Luc is hanging out with his hot Romulan lady friend, Laris. Yeah, she's hot. Got a crush on her as well. And Jean-Luc tells her, I wish I could go on an adventure. And as soon as he says that, his old comm badge starts chirping away. It's like locked in a briefcase somewhere, and it starts chirping away. And he's going, why is my old badge chirping away? He goes over there and does whatever he does, and he gets the message from Beverly Crusher, which says, Hellbird, no Starfleet, trust no one. Picard tells Laris that she's an old flame, which is a bold move, Jean-Luc. And Laris is pretty cool and says, well, she trusts you more than anybody. You're going to have to go to her. And Jean-Luc says, I'll be back in just a few days. And I liked, there's chemistry between these two characters. Really liked it. I thought the direction and the writing, I was like, oh, whoa, something's different this season. Next up, Picard is going to meet Riker in a bar. Of course. And Riker does something where he figures out the coordinates. It's a reference to the TV show, a Borg episode. And he figures out like the coordinates of where Beverly Crusher is. And they say, listen, I'm in. The wife, the family, they need a break from me, so I'm in. Let's do this. Let's go to Beverly Crusher. We got to get our hands on a ship. So they leave the bar, and there's a spy in the bar watching them. All right, next up is when I started to get a little bit concerned. So we go to some planet, Metalis Prime, and it looks very Star Warsy. In fact, it looks a little bit Obi-Wan Kenobi TV showy, and I was like, I don't know. But it looked okay. And then I started to be concerned when we bump into Raffi. Yeah, Raffi from the last 2 episodes. And at first, she appears to be strung out, a junkie again, and buying drugs from like this alien drug dealer. But as the scene went on, she starts asking the drug dealer questions about something. And the drug dealer is getting mad. And I think they're questions about Red Lady. And anyway, the drug dealer gets mad and sends her away. And then it turns out that Raffi is not on drugs at all. She's not strung out. She's pretending to be a junkie because she works for Starfleet as an intelligence officer, basically a spy. And she was just trying to get information about this Red Lady. And I really liked it. It was a good twist. It fooled me. I was like, oh shit, here we go. Some more bad Raffi storyline, and I was like, nah, okay, this is cool, and it allowed the character to have more layers to her, so really good job. All right, so we go back to Captain Riker and Admiral Picard, and they're pretending to do this inspection of the USS Titan, which was Riker's old ship. It's a Neo-Constitution class ship, and there's a lot of beautiful ship porn, glorious shots of this ship. It reminded me of the original Star Trek movie where they basically took 10 minutes showing you the Enterprise with the music blaring. It wasn't that long, but I like a little bit of ship porn. That's fine. It felt like Star Trek. Finally, right? It only took 3 seasons. So anyway, it felt like Star Trek. And they board for this fake inspection because they just want to, sort of commandeer the ship for their own purposes to get to Beverly. So they board the ship and they find out that the first officer is 7 of 9 on this ship. And if you've been watching my reviews, I do love 7 of 9. I consider her a 10 out of 9. So big crush on 7. But she doesn't go by 7 anymore. She goes by like Commander Hansen, her human name before the whole Borg nonsense. Anyway, they go to the bridge. We get the Next Generation music. Things feel like Star Trek. We find out that Geordi's daughter is on the bridge. She's a part of this crew, and her nickname is Crash LaForge, because she crashed something at some point. My only complaint is that the bridge is a little too dark. Some of the scenes in this episode were very dimly lit for some reason. So the lighting choice is strange, a little dark. But again, nice shots of the Titan. And there's a really nice moment where they're going to go to warp, like 9.99 warp. And Picard's like, we should probably alert engineering. That's pretty serious warp. And she's like, oh, it's all automated now. We're fine. And then Jean-Luc, to sort of cover up, goes, you'll be a great captain. 7. And then Will is just sort of chimes in all smart ass and says, excellent recovery, Admiral. And then Jean-Luc says, shut up, Will. But, it's just great chemistry with these characters on a bridge of a starship. The writing is there. It felt like the original television show with these guys. So, yeah, I'm having a good time at this point. And off they go. All right, next up, Captain Shaw invites Admiral Picard and Captain Riker. Is it captain or commander? I don't know. And 7 of 9 to dinner. And when they get there, Captain Shaw is already eating his dinner. He's already insulting them. He doesn't want them aboard. He's lobbing a lot of insults at them, making things very uncomfortable. Very clear he doesn't want them aboard his ship. And then Picard asks him, hey, we have to take a little detour to the edge of Federation space. And Captain Shaw asks why. And Picard says, well, maybe it's part of the inspection. If we go here and there, it's kind of like bragging rights that the Titan can do all that in that time. And Captain Shaw is not falling for it. He goes, no way, Jose. I've read about you, Jean-Luc, and your irresponsible little journeys in your past, and we're not going to have any of that here. At one point, Captain Shaw sort of insults Jean-Luc and alludes to his Borg background and perhaps his loyalty, and William Riker ain't going to have any of that. He shuts that down, and I love it because the characters are acting like they should. So whoever's doing the writing here understands these characters. So the dinner ends a little hostile, but that's okay. Then we go back to Raffi, and Raffi is talking to this computer. It's her handler, and she's on the hunt. We find out she's looking for stolen experimental weapons. And again, she's sort of hunting this red lady thing. And she learns that an attack is probably imminent. Then we go back to Jean-Luc and William Riker, and we see them in their quarters, which is basically bunk beds. So again, Captain Shaw not being too nice to them. Basically, in the middle of the night, 7 of 9 is going to hail them. They meet her on the observation deck, and 7 of 9 demands to know, what the hell is going on here, Jean-Luc? You're up to something. And Jean-Luc tells her the plan, and she says, you know what? I'm going to help you because I'm tired of Captain Shaw's shit. There you go. And so basically, 7 of 9 is going to disobey orders and take them to the edge of space, edge of Federation space in the middle of the night. When Captain Shaw is sleeping, she arranges a shuttlecraft for Jean-Luc and William Riker to get aboard so they can get off in a nick of time. Captain Shaw is going to wake up, look out the window, and go, what the hell is this? And get to the bridge, but not in time to stop Riker and Picard as they leave in their shuttle as they go to warp. All right, so we go back to Raffi. She's talking to her computer. She finds out the red lady is the target, and she's doing like some computer stuff, and they narrow it down to like, holy hell. The red lady is referring to former Enterprise captain Rachel Garrett, who was the captain before Jean-Luc, I believe. There's a Next Generation episode called Yesterday's Enterprise. It's a good episode where Jean-Luc is some time thing and bumps into Rachel Garrett. Anyway, I think Rachel Garrett has to die, and that gives us the timeline that we have. Anyway, there is a statue dedication ceremony to her. That is the target. So Raffi races there, and it's District 7, and she's looking at this Federation building, and she's saying to the Federation, listen, you have to respond, you're in danger, and no one's answering, but we see this Federation building like crumble into the ground of sorts, and then there's like a portal that opens up above where the building just was, and the building comes back down through the portal, smashes and gets destroyed. And I gotta say, it looked pretty good, and it was, we've seen so much destruction in movies, and it often just looks the same. This did look a little bit different. You know, it's like Age of Ultron-ish in a way, but that's a bad example. Or Man of Steel, things going up and down. I don't know. This had its own unique look that I did appreciate. All right, then we go back to Riker and Picard, and they arrive at Beverly Crusher's ship. They find 2 life signs, and one is Miss Crusher's. So I like how the shuttle docked with Beverly's ship. I thought that looked cool. It was more ship porn, and I liked that. And they board. And when they board, Riker says the funniest thing. He goes, your hands are stiff. My knees are killing me. As long as we don't have to move or shoot, we'll be fine. I liked it. Again, it was great to have the chemistry back between these 2 characters. It's like the old Star Trek, The Next Generation, has come back to us. Just nice writing, nice chemistry. And I got to say, Picard did not come off elderly so far in this episode. You know, the 2 are on the move. I feel like, you know, in the last 2 seasons of Picard, you felt bad for this like elderly man that can't do anything. But in this episode so far in the season, yeah, he's doing things. He's moving. He's Jean-Luc Picard. He's back. All right, so William Riker and Jean-Luc Picard, they're searching Crusher's ship. They find her in cryostasis. She's all right. She did get shot in the earlier fight, but she's okay. And they bump into this guy that's going to have them at gunpoint, and we find out that there's a scuffle. They get the gun back. And we find out that that is Beverly Crusher's son, which means there's like a pause in the show. You're like, is this Jean-Luc's son? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? I think it might be. Then out of nowhere comes this gigantic ship, so much bigger. It looks Romulan. It's scary. There's like evil music, and you're like, oh, here's the bad guy. We don't get to see the bad guy, but we see the bad guy's ship. And it did remind me of the first Jar Jar Abrams Star Trek movie. That ship, it's got that kind of look to it. And then the show ends, and then we cut to classic The Next Generation music, and the credits roll, and I was thrilled. I was so happy. We have 9 more to go. I can't wait for the next one. And I'm kind of already upset there's only 9 more. I'm like, this is it. This is it. It's been 3 years, and finally, the show's good. The show's good. It felt like old Star Trek. The pace is good. Had a good mystery. Writing is good. Chemistry between characters. The characters are the characters we love. Finally. Oh, it's just good. It's a huge improvement. Yeah, this is the best Star Trek, in my opinion, since Enterprise. I liked Enterprise. I like Scott Bakula. So it's been a while. All right, everybody. Well, let me know in the comments what you thought about the first episode of Season 3 of Picard. Am I too excited, or are you guys excited too? Or many of you maybe don't even give a shit. And I can't blame you. I can't blame you. But let me know in the comments. This is a huge improvement. Oh, it's a nice day to be a Star Trek fan. All right, everybody. It's not a good day to be an Ant-Man fan, though. I saw that. All right, that review's coming up as well. Everybody, have a great day, a great night, a great weekend. I will see you soon. And as always, I will see you on the new.